Now, your stimulus money, what jobs has it been able to save? What jobs has it been able to create? Christine Romans joins us live from New York with a look at some of the new numbers that are coming in about just how well the program may in fact be working. Christine?
Good morning. You know, it's difficult this whole idea of saved jobs. How do you measure a job that's been saved? I mean, you could measure a job that's been created because it comes out of nothing. It's a new job. But how do you measure saved jobs? Well, we're starting to be able to get a sense of how the jobs have been saved by the kinds of stimulus money that's been going to the states to fill their budget gaps. They're filling these gaps by retaining their teachers. And we're starting to be able to count these numbers because recipients of the stimulus money must file reports to the government about how they're spending money. So what do we know? We know that in California, 62,000 teacher jobs have been retained with stimulus money. We know that in Michigan, 14,625 teachers are still in the classroom because of stimulus money. In Missouri, it's 8,500. In Minnesota, it's 5,900. In Utah, it's 2,594. The biggest driver of stimulus from the states, teachers. They're trying to keep teachers in the classroom for a couple of reasons. It's a very quick way to get money to work in the economy because many of these teachers, if you had the budget shortfalls, they were going to lose their jobs. You can plug those shortfalls pretty easily. Also, some of the folks who've been putting this money to work in the states are telling us that it's a pretty efficient use of their money. They don't want kids to suffer because of the recession. It's a pretty easy choice for them to make to keep teachers on the job. Now, it doesn't mean that all teachers are not losing their jobs, of course, but it does mean that stimulus money is going here. And some jobs are teacher construction jobs. There are other places in transportation and infrastructure where the states are using the money. But it looks as though the bulk of these, we're seeing a lot of teacher jobs have been saved, retained by the stimulus money.
Okay, so it's hard to figure out which jobs have been saved. It's equally as difficult to find out which jobs have been created.
Yeah, absolutely. And the White House says 1 million jobs have been saved or created. I mean, that's their math. We're never going to have a list of 1 million names of people and their job description that we're just never going to have that. And all economists say that it is going to be impossible to verify exactly how many jobs have been saved or created. What we can verify and what we're looking at now are these reports that are coming in from the states about how they're spending the money. California alone has already filed some 5,700 plus reports about how it has used the stimulus money. So that stimulus money came with some very clear reporting guidelines, and the states and the recipients of stimulus money have to report back to Congress about how they're spending the money.
You mentioned how some of the teachers' jobs remain intact. You highlighted some of the states and some of the districts where those jobs are intact, but at the same time, other jobs within the districts are not immune to being cut.
Yeah.
We're seeing librarians that are getting cut, cooks and bus drivers.
That's right. And that brings us to the Romans numeral, which is 85%. This is a survey of school districts in 37 states that found that 85% of surveyed schools had cut librarians, nurses, cooks, bus drivers. I talked to a school district in, I think, Rhode Island recently that was telling us that they were trying to keep their music teachers on, but they would not be able to keep all of their music teachers. They're worried about keeping what are called paraprofessionals in the schools. That's special ed, so people who are there for special education purposes and reading aids, maybe not necessarily teachers, but people who are incredibly important to running a classroom. So school districts are making some pretty tough decisions. States are making some pretty tough decisions. One thing that's interesting, I think, Melissa, is that in 2 years, the stimulus money runs out. And I've talked to superintendents who've said that they are really concerned about what happens when the stimulus money sunsets, because they don't think that their property tax revenue, their tourism revenue, and their other revenues, their sales tax revenues, are going to come back in time to be able to fill that gap in a couple of years. So they're worried that we've just put off the inevitable with this stimulus funding and that they've still got an education crisis down the road.
Christine Romans, live for us from New York. Christine, thank you.
Sure.